Hello and welcome to That Man. This is, well, it's another collection of sorts. For a long time people have been telling me, or people have been seeing, That Man, do a digital haul, do a digital collection, and now I'm just like, okay, I will. So digital stuff is kind of well, it's just stuff where I've been buying them here and there, and I'm not gonna lie, I've collected quite a bit of a digital collection. As far as I'm concerned, digital is going to be part way of the future. As much as I like buying physical stuff, there's going to be a lot of series I am just not going to buy physically, or I can't buy physically. I just don't have the space for, and that is my digital collection. There is some things that I actually have went back and bought physically. So to start things off, I'm going to look at my Comixology digital collection, and first up we have Aho Girl, a clueless girl. This is a girl who is too stupid to exist. I picked up volume 1 to 4 when the anime was airing. So yeah, that is, it's quite old now. I say quite old, it's been about 2 or 3 years. It's been a few years since this aired. I really enjoyed it when I read it. But then I kind of just stopped. I think once the anime stopped and the tension was off, I just stopped reading it. I'm going to go back to it because I actually do want to do a bit of a video on this series. I feel it's quite underrated. It is just stupid, ridiculous. Not to everybody's taste, but it is one that I would definitely recommend if you want something out there. Next up is Alicia's Diet Quest. I only got volume 1. This was one I bought because I was going to start and do more ecchi stuff, and then I read it and I was just like, yeah, I wasn't really that keen on it. It's about a young girl who it's like I think she's a priestess, if I remember rightly, and she well, I'm just going to see if we can load it up. There we go. Use Slimer's exercise ball, a treasure chest stair stepper. Yeah, it's kind of one of these ones where it kind of jumped on that plus size elf, how heavy are the dumbbells that you lift kind of thing. I read the first volume and I wasn't like fantastically amazed by it, but I think I might go back to it sometime. Again, it's another one I would love to cover. I also have Alive. What happens is Comixology tends to put up little kind of things where it's like they'll do volume 1 for like £1 or something like that, and this was one of the ones I picked up. I've not had a chance to read it, but to be honest, just by the synopsis I was quite interested in what it was going to produce. Alive, the final evolution, a suicide virus. Yeah, it's one of those ones I think I'm going to have to be in the right mood to kind of read it. Suicide is always one of those ones where it's kind of a bit of a heavy thing. Next up we have Astro Boy Volume 1 and 2. I kind of felt that I had to pick this one up at some point and read it. I'm not going to lie, I think I read the equivalent of Volume 1 and then just stopped reading it. It was one that I felt was quite difficult to get into. It's definitely shown its age, and I do like Tezuka's work. I really like Tezuka's work. Blackjack is one of my favourite series of all time, but Astro Boy, I don't know what it was, I just couldn't get into it. I just wasn't enjoying it when I was reading it. Maybe I need to give it another shot and see where we're going from there. This series is absolute trash. This was another one that I think I was on the $1.99, and this was before the anime came out. I picked up Backstreet Girls Volume 1. I heard it was quite funny, but yeah, there's a lot of problems with this one, I would say. A lot of problems indeed. It's not a bunch of Yakuza mess up and they get turned into idols because the Yakuza boss has a fancy for being an idol, and they're kind of just like they're pretending to be idols on screen and on stage, but in real life they're just kind of like, yeah, I'm the drinking, and yeah, it's not a great series. Baki Volume 1. I really enjoyed the anime for this one when it came out. I bought this, I think the Volume 1 was like 79 pence or something ridiculously cheap. And I really wanted to get into it, but I'm not going to lie, I read a few pages and I just couldn't even follow what was going on. Again, it's another one I'm going to try and give another try to. It's by Akita Publishing Company. I didn't know of this publishing company before now, so I think that might have something to do. I think it was a bit of a poor translation. Next up we have Battle Angel Alita Volume 1 to Volume 9, I believe. This is the entire collection of Battle Angel Alita. I bought these again. I think this was actually my first purchase on Comixology. I've only read volume 1 and 2, and I loved what I read. I am going to consider this one as a complete history in the near future, because I have been really wanting to get back into reading this, to the point I think I downloaded the entire collection, and then it sat on my thing just to be read for quite some time. I read this about 2-3 years ago when I first started buying digital stuff, and I've just never caught up to it. Fantastic series from what I remember reading of it, though. Very dark and very interesting. A very interesting world that was built up. I really enjoyed the live action that came out a few years ago as well. That was a really good, for considering it was live action. I really enjoyed it. Beastars, it's that series that, well, it's a hot topic right now. I did cover this in more depth, and I was kind of on the middle of what I saw. I do want to read more of it because everyone's saying it gets really good later on. However, it didn't grab me enough. I didn't really like the art style of what it kind of did so far, but I was intrigued enough, and a lot of people did convince me enough to pick it up. Pick up some more. At this point, I actually haven't. It has never went back on sale, and I can't justify. I think it's like £5.50 for each volume, which is around the same price as what it is physically. And yeah, I can't justify that for a digital volume. Viz are one of the few ones. There's two companies, Viz and Dark Horse, who are absolute. Viz can knock it out of the park with the Shounen Jump, but everything else physically, they're really poor in getting it sorted out. And Dark Horse is just a waste of time. Speaking of Dark Horse, I have Berserk Volume 1. Berserk, I really enjoyed the original TV series. And then, I don't know, I kind of never felt the interest to go back. I've always promised myself I would go back and read it. I actually have bought the Volume 1 digitally. But, I don't know, you know what it is? I don't really want to pick up and read and get invested in a series that I know is never ever going to end. At least not going to end with a satisfaction. I kind of feel like Miura's kind of lost all interest in finishing it off, and he's just more interested in playing Dragon Quest. I will get it to her eventually, but don't expect a complete history of it anytime soon. My boy Black Clover. This is a title that I picked up few years ago when Shounen Jump was doing, I think they were doing volume 1s for £1 or something really cheap. I picked up Black Clover, and this, I didn't like it. I didn't like volume 1 the first time I read it. My attitude towards the series has changed, and it's now one of the ones I actually look forward to the most each season. I wanna live forever. Actually, apparently it's supposed to be blam, as in blam, 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 as in shooting a gun, or blame. We will never know, except we probably do. Another one that I picked up volumes 1 to 3 when they first came out. I think I got them for, like, again, it was very cheap. I really enjoyed what the thing doesn't even load. The title chapters don't want to load. But yeah, I really enjoyed volume 1. It was very dark and very depressing, but I never got around to volume 2 or onwards. I've had volume 2s on my saved database for quite some time, and I'm kind of like, I should get back to it. I should get back to it indeed. Cage of Eden is one of those titles that I really wanted to get into. I constantly see it on sale quite often, and it's it looks quite good. I like the interest. I remember. I remember reading it, but I don't remember much about it. It exists on my collection, and that's pretty much where it's gonna stay. Now, this one I would say is rather an underrated title. Can You Just Die, My Darling? The premise is that this new virus comes and infects people, and the person who gets infected, they want to kill the thing that they love the most. However, their special power is that the thing that their lover likes the most. So it's kind of like one of these ones where it's kind of it's a bit of a battle manga, but it's a very dark and twisted way of doing it. I wanted to actually check out the original story, because I believe this was actually a light novel originally. But I read volume 1 and 2, and I do enjoy what I've read of it. I want to read more of it. Definitely what I would recommend checking out. Case Closed, Detective Conan. I've only got volume 1. I really want to get more of this. It's one of those ones where I think if I saw like each volume for like £1 or something like that, I would probably buy about 50 volumes because I really love murder mystery kind of stuff. Case Closed was one of the first manga I remember buying years ago. 7th of September 2004. That does line up with when I was originally buying manga. I think I got the first 10 volumes or something. But it doesn't sell well. It doesn't sell well at all. I don't even see it very often in shops anymore. Years ago, it used to be Case Closed, Dragon Ball, and I think one or two others. Before all of like One Piece and Naruto and all that started coming out over here. Yeah, I really love this series. I really enjoy it. I really want to do a complete history on it. However, I don't feel like I've covered enough and I've not seen any of the spin-offs or anything like that. I want to read more of this one. I really do. But it's just so expensive just to pick up. There's like 100 volumes or something like that. It's a One Piece level of volumes. Yeah. Work and friends. I actually did a complete thing on all of the Cells at Work. I'm not going to go into them individually because I did Cells at Work Black, I did Cells at Work and Friends, and Cells Not at Work, and I've also previously covered Cells at Work. So yeah, I actually do own all of Cells at Work digitally. I did pick up volume 1 because I kind of wanted to collect it. I'm still not sure. I love the series. I kind of want to reread it, but I'm not sure whether to get it physically or not. But yeah, Cells Not at Work, do not pick it up at all. She's Sweet Home Volume 1. That's all I've got of it. It's about a cat who gets lost from his mum and gets abducted by a small child and lives with another person. And he's got a new home, but always dreams of living with his mum. Yeah, it was alright. It's won awards. That's all I can say about it, really. Tayarafuru, I don't know if I pronounced that right. I hear a lot of amazing things about this one. A lot of people really hyped this one up. Again, it was one that I picked up for like £1. Not read it. It was cheap, but I really am looking into reading this one because a lot of people have really hyped it up as of the last few months. I believe season 3's out at the moment. Yeah, I think it's like a card game, Karuta, I believe it is, or something like that. Looking forward to checking this one out, actually. I am looking forward. Here's another one that I picked up when I first started buying manga. I remember being ill in a doctor's surgery and reading like an entire volume of it. It's one of those ones. I believe it's done by the person who did Nichijou, a series that I haven't covered enough. I need to read more of it. I will read more of it. At the moment, I haven't really had much of a chance to check it out. City is quite decent. It's one of those ones I feel like you've got to be properly invested into it, otherwise you'll not enjoy it. It's one of those ones you either will love or you will hate, in my opinion. This is Combatants Will Be Dispatched. This is the manga, even though it's got the exact same cover as the light novel. I believe it was cheap at the time. Again, I read about half of it. I need to go back to it. If you like Konosuba, you will enjoy it. It's the same guys who did that. I've actually picked up volume 2 of the light novel, so that is I believe that's next on my to be read. Really good series. Really recommended if you like Konosuba, if you want ridiculous over-the-top stuff. This time the supervillains, so all of the weird wacky stuff is kind of justified. It's not justified. Next up is Complex Age Volume 1. Another one I've not read. I'm not going to discuss it. I can't really talk about it that much. This is Coppelion. I was really enjoying this. I really enjoyed volume 1 of this, but I never went back to it. It's like a bunch of girls who were kind of like immune to like a nuclear blast or something like that, and they're just like scavenging and trying to like clean it up and stuff like that. I really enjoyed what I read. I want to go back to it. I really want to go back to this one. Cyborg 009 Volume 1, a classic, absolute classic. Again, Ishimori, the publisher, I don't even believe they even did any more. Summary, 186 pages. Wow. I like that, 186 pages. An absolute classic of a title. I really enjoyed when I read it. Again, I didn't get back to reading any more. I don't think they even released anymore. I'm just trying to find out. Yeah, full series only did 20. There's actually 20 books on here. That is good to know because I might actually go back and pick some more up. Dead Dead Demons D Destruction Volume 1. Honestly, I couldn't get into this one. I believe a lot of people do struggle with Volume 1 and then get more into it as it goes on. So, again, it's another one I'm going to go back into and try and give it another chance. Because Inio Asano, they do decent work. Yeah, I remember reading all this thing about this mushroom thing and just being like completely, what the hell's going on? Dead Man Wonderland. This is another one I picked up very early when I started buying digital stuff. I enjoyed Dead Man Wonderland. I just read volume 1 to 3 and I just didn't want to read any more. I don't know what it was. I was just like, I don't know. I feel like it was a little bit too grim for my liking. I don't know. I kind of like stuff where it's got a little bit of hope, and it's just like this one just kind of like, it was just a little bit depressing for me. Senden Stories Volume 1 and 2. I don't hear enough people talking about this one. Absolute fantastic series there, talking about Rakugo. The anime hit a lot of people's sweet spots, and for me it was like, I think it was one of my top 10 anime of the last decade. Detroit's Metal City. I've heard a lot of great ones about this, and it was recommended to me. Not read it. Dragon Head. This one was another one of these ones. It was like a train crash and everybody's dead and everyone started getting the virus. I believe it's known as a classic. I enjoyed Volume 1. Never went back to it. Drifting Dragons. I read this one a few years ago and I believe it's only just actually getting its physical release. It's where they beat up dragons and eat them. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't anything amazing. I don't really remember much else apart from it. I read it on a train, and I remember reading it on a train and just being like, oh yeah, I've read it. Done. So the next few ones, I'm just going to cover and rattle them off because time is getting on. And these are Fire Force. I can't get into Fire Force. I read Volume 1 a few times and I'm just so bored with it when I'm finished it. It's not anything bad. I'm just kind of like, I've just read the entire thing before many times. I heard it gets good eventually, but I'm not willing to put in the time for it. Also, Flying Witch. Beautiful series. Really enjoyed the anime. Not read the manga. Shokugeki no Soma. I got volume 1 to 13. This is before the Shonen Jump app came out. I really enjoy Shokugeki no Soma until it kind of jumps off the train and kind of just rolls for a bit and just keeps rolling and even into the abyss. Yeah, it didn't end particularly amazing. I was still enjoying it more than a few other series though, so there's a lot of attachment to this series that I will go into when I do cover it on a bigger scale, because it's one that I do want to pick up the rest of and just binge the entire thing. And I'm actually at the point now where food only tastes good if your clothes explode off you. Yeah, Sanji, you need to work on your food skills. Next up is Fuka. Never read it. Genkaku Picasso. I enjoyed the premise of this. It was, I believe he was like drawing stuff and it was coming to life, and yeah, it was pretty good. Giant Killing, the manga about a football manager, reminds us of Football Manager. I enjoyed it. Never went back to it though. Gigantico Maxicate. I was going to do a massive video on this. I really enjoyed it when I picked it up a few years ago. I'm not getting any internet connection in here. This is why it's not loading anything up. But yeah, I really enjoyed it when I read it. It was rather good. Genshiken was an interesting read. I read the volume 1 a few years ago, and I actually just recently picked up volume 2. I wanted to go back to it. The original Genshiken is considered a classic in some circles, but there's Genshiken Next, I believe, and yeah, that's not particularly as good. It's a bunch of anime otaku, and this girl who's kind of joined this thing, and she's a bit detrimental to the whole thing. She's kind of like, oh well, you're losers, you're not going to amount to anything, and it's kind of that whole perception that anime fans still seem to have to this day. I know anime is kind of cool, but it's only cool if you like My Hero Academia or the popular stuff. If you're going to bring out Genshiken or whatever, you're probably still going to be like, oh, look at him, he's a bit of a dweeb. I'm going to bring back dweeb. Gleipnir. A few people recommend this to me. A few people say it's absolute rubbish. I'm kind of in the middle. It was okay. It was kind of like, it was serviceable. It wasn't anything amazing. But then we go on to Golosine. Oh my god, this thing was absolutely, what on earth did I read? It's kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of like this whole weird macho kind of story. I didn't have a clue what was going on. But if you want to see Hulk Hogan and Vladimir Putin murder stuff, yeah, that might be for you. I thought it was rubbish. I thought it was absolute rubbish. Good Dog Cerberus. This was the one. It was quite fun. I think I was talking about when I was talking about it a few weeks ago when I was talking about Chio's Chi's Sweet Home. Goodbye, I'm being reincarnated. I read volume 1 and I really enjoyed the twist on the isekai where they're trying to force him to get reincarnated in order to save the world. I picked up volume 2 a few days ago. I haven't read it yet. I'm looking forward to doing so. I kind of feel like it's going to be one of those ones where the premise of volume 1 was pretty decent, but I think on subsequent reading it might not be. Grand Blue Dreamin'. This is the one that Base Senpai has always recommends to me, and I really, really am looking forward to reading it because I feel like this is going to be the next step after prison school in terms of stuff. I watched the anime but couldn't get into it. I tend to find that sometimes if I watch the anime and can't get into it, I will try the manga and get into it a little bit more. I am looking forward to checking this one out a little bit more though. Gyo, everyone knows Gyo. It's one I actually do want to cover a little bit more. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting manga. People vomiting, turning into fish and all sorts. It was a very difficult read. Haganai, I don't have many friends. I really enjoyed season 1 of the anime all these years ago, and I really wanted to pick up the physical collection. However, I decided not to bother and start picking up digitally. Not read it, so I've not picked up anymore. Haikyuu, I picked this up before the whole Shonen Jump thing. I really, really, really want to keep trying with Haikyuu because everyone says it's absolutely fantastic, but the artwork really puts me off. The artwork looks absolute ugly in the first few volumes, and you know what? The problem is that the fandom is quite hit and miss. I've watched the anime a few years ago and I remember enjoying it, but then I kind of like rewatched it and I was like, I didn't enjoy it, so maybe I just don't enjoy it, but I'm going to keep trying it every now and again. Hazuki's Cool-Headedness. This was a title that was it was relevant a few years ago, but it's kind of fallen into obscurity again. I believe there was a season 2 or season 3 not long ago. Not watched it, but I really enjoyed when I read it. I want to pick more of it up. Ichi F. Now this one is a very interesting one because it's a documentary on the Fukushima power plant after it's the cleanup of it. It's not something that I would say you would probably read to enjoy it, but it is something that I would say is absolutely interesting. I do want to do a complete history on this one because I think it's something that does have a lot of interesting history of it. I don't think it's going to get many views. Some of these complete history I'm fully aware that they're not going to get decent views or anything like that. Interesting though. I would really recommend it out if you want a documentary style manga though. Interviews with Monster Girls. I've got volumes 1 to 6 of this. I've read volume 1 to 4 when it first came out. Never read any more. It's more time. I think the problem is because my physical collection is there and more kind of into it, I kind of like put everything else on a back burner. I probably shouldn't do that. Inuyashiki, really enjoyed the anime, not had a chance to read it. Is Kichijo the only place to live? Weird series. It's basically real estate, the manga, and yeah, I was quite bored with it. I heard it gets good, but I'm not willing to pick up any more. Kaguya-sama Love is War. I've read the first 2 volumes of it, and I really want to do a video on this one. Really enjoyed it. However, I always feel like it's a trek to get through a volume. I'm on to volume 3. I'm going to pick up some more. I think I'm going to have to stop buying physical stuff and just start hammering away at these digital ones, because I didn't realise how much I haven't actually read. Kakaguri, absolutely adore this series. I really want to pick some more up. Not had the chance to do so yet. The Night Cartoonist and Her Orc Editor. Weird series. It's basically about making manga and a cartoonist and an orc. It's kind of got a few things that kind of hook us into it, but didn't bother picking up volume 2. Komi Can't Communicate. Now, I have read volumes 1 to 4. I've jumped from doing Komi physically to digitally, just because it's like 16 volumes. I can't justify buying them physically, and it's cheaper digitally anyway, so why not? Konoduri Dr. Stork. I've never been so stressed reading a manga in my life. It's about childbirth and saving babies when during the birth in progress. Very stressful. Very stressful indeed. Yeah. Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service. I couldn't get into it. I heard it's a classic, but couldn't get into it. Land of the Lustrous, really, really, really want to read this one. I don't know what's putting me off. There's something about it that's putting me off reading it. I've even got the anime, but something's just holding me back. I might be the next one I'll pick up. Liar X Liar. Not read it. Lone Wolf Cub, not read it. Picked it up cheap. Love Hina. This one for me is a classic, but the reason being is that it's one of the first manga I bought. I bought the first one digitally because it was cheap, and the intention to get rid of the manga. I then couldn't get rid of the manga, so yeah. Marduk Scramble, not read it. Monthly Girls and Zaki-kun. I didn't enjoy the anime. A lot of people really enjoy the anime, but yeah, I couldn't get into it. Motokai, not read it. My Hero Academia, I bought volumes 1 to 7 of it, and then I reread it because I'd already read it illegally at that point. So I'm not going to lie, this is before we actually had an easy way of reading stuff. And then I started buying volumes 1 to 7. Viz released the Shounen Jump app, and I just couldn't justify spending money on My Hero Academia again, because I'm not going to lie, if it wasn't for the Viz thing, I would not spend a penny on it. My lesbian experience of loneliness, absolute fantastic one. I do want to cover this one a little bit more. I have bought it physically since then. My love story, one of my favourite shoujo titles. Really enjoyed this one. I want to do a complete history on it. It was originally penciled in to do complete history by Valentine's Day. It was going to be the Valentine's Day special, but I haven't had a chance to reread it. I haven't even started scripting it. It's in progress. Slight spoilers. My Monster Girl's Too Cool For You. I tried reading it, couldn't get into it. My Wife is Wagamatsu-san. Really weird one. Young man discovers that his wife is he travels through time and discovers he's married to Wagamatsu-san, and then things happen and timey-wimey stuff. Napping Princess, enjoyed the movie, bought it cheap. Nisekoi, I haven't reread it. I think again it was one of those ones I bought like stupid cheap. I will go back and reread it. Noragami, heard it's good, not read it. The anime gets a lot of attention, but I thought it was quite boring, but maybe my attitude might have changed since then. Oh My Goddess, considered a classic, not read it. There's a lot of stuff I've not read here. I feel quite embarrassed that I've not read it. One Piece, yeah, it's One Piece. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. Again, it was another one that I bought a load of physical ones, and the Viz one came out, and I was just like, well, there's no point buying them anymore. I am buying the Japanese ones because I've nearly got a full collection, so yeah, continue with that. One Punch Man. I love One Punch Man. I got to volume 14, I really enjoyed it, then I stopped buying it. I probably should, because I'm miles behind on the Viz one as well, the Shonen Jump one, so I might start picking that up again. Please tell me, Galgo-chan. Another one that I would say is absolute fantastic, definitely worth picking up if you like that kind of stuff. Beast says it's jokes for girls, and I can't disagree. I will go back and do a complete history on Galgo-chan. It's one that I feel is worth talking about. Princess Jellyfish. This was one I really enjoyed volume 1 of. I really enjoy this author's works. They're all really fantastic. I want to cover them all and do a complete history on it again. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm purposely leaving because I want to reread them or read them while I'm going to cover them a little bit more. There's a lot of very interesting stories behind the scenes for a lot of these titles as well. Queen Emeraldus. Love this series, never picked up anymore. Real Girl, I don't remember even managing to finish it. It was another one that was stupid cheap. Rurouni Kenshin, I really wanted to get a Rurouni Kenshin collection. I had volume 1, I think about 15 a few years ago, then stopped buying it when I had to get rid of a lot of my manga. But yeah. Saint Young Men, bought volume 1. I've not had a chance to read it. I think I did start reading it when I was unwell, but I just really couldn't focus on it, to be honest. Sankaria, if this is one's weird. I believe she gets killed off and then she comes back to life as a zombie and she's stalking her boyfriend. It's weird. Satoshi Kon's Opus. Again, another one. I'm going to dedicate something onto that, and I want to cover it a little bit later. Sekirei. Sekirei was one of the first anime I bought when I started buying anime again. Yeah. I remember enjoying it, but the reread was not kind to me whatsoever. Seven Deadly Sins. I wanted to get into Seven Deadly Sins, and one of the first ones, I think they just kept doing deals. They kept doing deals. Only up to volume 29. I kind of got bored of Seven Deadly Sins. I don't know why. I really want to cover it a little bit more. This is one of the worst things I have ever read. Shut-in Shutamaru Kominari takes on the world. It's a shut-in guy. It's boy love. I didn't realise it was boy love. Nothing against it, but I kind of felt quite manipulative and uncomfortable. A person who was suffering from something, and the person who was supposed to be looking after them, making them feel better, is kind of manipulating them, and yeah. Very uncomfortable. A Silent Voice, love the movie, absolutely love it. Not read it. Again, it's another one that I will be covering on a thingy basis, a complete history. This is my boy, Space Brothers. I will talk a lot about Space Brothers. It is the best manga you have probably never read. Essential reading. I want to reread it. I really want to reread it and cover this one properly on the channel because it deserves it. Suzuka, never read it. That time I got reincarnated by a slime. There is 2. I've got the Slime Diaries and I've got the manga. I read the light novel, so yeah. This is the most. You know what it is? I really enjoyed this series until I realised I was not enjoying this series. Very difficult to read. Very emotional. Yeah, it just keeps punching you in the face and just doesn't stop. It's really good, but I kind of discovered that I wasn't enjoying what I was reading from it, and that put me off reading anymore. It's up to you to just decide whether or not you might want to read it. But for me, I was loving it, but it was too difficult to read anymore. Another one, I'm going to cover this in a separate video. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. It was okay. You've read plenty of other stuff, seriously. Tokyo Mew Mew. Classic. Bought it cheap. Never read it. Tokyo Revengers. Uchuu Shelf will attest to this. This was an absolute fantastic read. Time Traveling Gangsters is all I'm going to say about it. Time Traveling Gangsters. Tokyo Tareba Girls, another one I will absolutely, I'm adamant I will cover this at a later date. There's a lot of stuff actually redoing this collection that I've actually realised I really want to cover, because there's a lot of stuff here that needs to be discussed. Fantastic series, one of my favourites. I kind of want to get it physically, but I can't justify the space. Really good series. Toriko. Years ago I read a lot of Toriko and then I just stopped, and then I kind of started buying them and then just stopped. Triage X, I covered this one. This was a lot better than I expected, Triage X. Yeah, it's boob nurses shooting things. Ultraman, not read it. Flip really got me wanting to read it, so I've actually downloaded it again, so I'm actually going to try and focus on this one in the near future. My goal now is to try and start getting through some of these digital ones. Uzumaki, love this one. Spirals everywhere. Vinland Saga, my experience with Vinland Saga is weird, is that I enjoyed Volume 1 and 2, really enjoyed it. Bought Volume 3 and 4, never read anymore. Everybody I know talks about Vinland Saga. I'm not going to discuss it. If you want to read something about Vinland Saga, go find any other manga tuber. They've discussed it. You know, my favourite anime, my favourite manga, The Walking Dead. It's just because this is Comixology. The only the comic I've ever bought is The Walking Dead. I like it. I like The Walking Dead a lot. Listen to me. This one was good. Disgruntled girl gets a job in radio, essentially. That's about it. The Way of the House Husband, great manga. Didn't hook me enough to buy Volume 2, and I think a lot of the general consensus is that it's still quite funny, it's still quite good, but not quite as good as Volume 1. It kind of faded into... kind of just did more of the same. Welcome to the Ballroom. Yeah. Read it. It was alright. Slenderman is not Slenderman is not in this one. Yeah. Watakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku. Love this one. Really enjoyed it. Adults being adults. Watakoi, Space Brothers and Tokyo Tareba Girls. If you want adults being adults, check them ones out because they are fantastic examples of them. Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. Not read it. My goat Yotsuba. I bought all of these digitally, bought them again physically. I'm doing something big with Yotsuba at the moment. I'm working on the complete history. I'm just waiting on some materials. I'm not going to talk about Yotsuba too much. Your Lie in April. Heard it's fantastic. Bought Volume 1. Not read it. Yozakura Quartet. Heard it's good. Not read it. The Inner Chambers. Yeah, this one was weird. Essentially, a plague kills off a lot of the men, and only the rich and the wealthy can afford to have a man, and this queen has a harem of men, rather than the reverse being true. I really was interested in this one. My friend Mama Loves Manga, she really loves this one. Check out her channel. I believe she has already covered it. I'll leave a link in the description for you to check out her channel because, yeah, she can probably explain this one better than I can. So first up, we have the Combat Mate and the Robotron Waitress. Kind of like Violet Evergarden with bread. Really enjoying it. I'm partway through it. It's my, when I've got 2 minutes at work kind of thing, on a break when I've got 5 minutes at work. If I'm not reading a light novel, I'll catch up on a little bit on this one. I can't remember what this one's called. Something Children. Not read it. Boarding School Juliet. Not read it. Heard it's really good though. Monster Girl Doctor. Love this series. I really enjoyed this one. It's everything you want out of a Monster Girl series. All of those nice, etchy kind of things. I thought there was supposed to be an anime star, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone talking about it. I do want to pick more of this one up. I'm very tempted to pick it up physically because I think there's only a few volumes, and I'm kind of like, oh, I've enjoyed it digitally, and I'm kind of like, do I buy it? Because I think this is one that would look nice in my collection. Grimgar Fantasy and Ash. Enjoyed the anime, not read the light novel yet. Rise of the Shield Hero, I believe this is volume 5. Enjoyed the series okay enough. It kind of fell out of love for me, not because it's bad or anything. It's just kind of mediocre. It doesn't pop out or anything like that. World Ends Harem. Yeah, it's going to be trash, isn't it? But I'm looking forward to covering it. I'm looking forward indeed. It's another one where I kind of feel like I can cover it and give it some justice. The Elder Sister like one. I really enjoyed this one. Ida Pochi really enjoys drawing mature women, if you enjoy that kind of thing. Also did the Mom Isekai. Loved Volume 1. I did quite a nice globe for it. Looking forward to reading Volume 2 and 3. Not picked them up yet, though. The Rio's work is never done. Not read it. Really looking forward to reading it. I heard a lot of really good things about this one when it comes to light novels. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out in the near future though. Give too many girls and cause the apocalypse. Sounds stupid. Not read it yet. Age businessman arrives in another world. This was a J Novel Club one which I just picked up because I was like, oh, I'm not going to read it on J Novel Club. I'm actually considering getting rid of my subscription actually. I'm finding I'm only reading, what do you call it, Bookworm, and I'm kind of like, I'm paying for about 2 months worth of J Novel Club just to read one volume. It's not working very well. I'm trying to read other stuff, but it's kind of like I just don't have the time. This looks stupid. I'm looking forward to reading it. Restaurant to Another World was, I really enjoyed the anime. Not had a chance to read the manga. I'm looking for manga. This is a little light novel. Looking forward to reading it though. It's one of those ones. My light novel collection is even worse than my manga. I'm enjoying light novels a little bit more than manga at the moment, but yeah, I'm not getting a chance to read them. And all these digital ones, I'm buying them and not even picking them up yet. Naughty, naughty. I think I'm gonna have to start dedicating more time to light novels. I think. Kokoro Connect, fantastic series. Not had a chance to really pick up anymore, but one of the essential ones I would say for picking up a light novel. I would definitely recommend it. Amagi Brilliant Park, Volume 2 and Volume 1, they're not in order. I need to sort out the order for these. Yeah, I really enjoy the anime. One of my favourite anime, actually. Not had a chance to read it, though. I feel really guilty that I've not read it yet. Are you lost? Not read it. Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan's weird. I can't get past the artwork, but I've not sat down and read it. So I think this was free a few months ago, so I picked it up for free. I've also got Quintessential Quintuplets for free as well. I'm standing on 1,000 Corpses. Not read it. Bottom tier character Tomozaki, not read it yet, heard amazing things, and I've heard that this is going to be the next big thing when it comes to light novels. Once it gets its anime adaptation, which I believe it's getting, this is going to be an absolute huge one. I'm going to make sure I'm going to be on it. I've started it a few times. I've really enjoyed it so far, but not finished it. I'll just keep starting it again. Definitely my next up one that I'm going to read. Last round's Arthur's Scum, Arthur and Heretic Merlin. Yeah, I was a bit bored with this one. It was good, but I don't know. It was one of those ones I struggled to get through. The problem was I started reading it when I was on the plane to Japan. Kind of got a bit bored. Stopped reading it, and then I came back to it and I was just like, what even went on with it? It's basically just the Knights of the Round Table kind of King Arthur story in the modern world, and she's scum. Yeah, it was okay. Division Maneuver, I bought this for 2 reasons. Can you guess why? Not had a chance to read it. Looking forward to doing so. It looks kind of Xenoblade-y. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. J.K. Haru is a sex worker in another world. Heard a lot of interesting opinions on this one. I'm really looking forward to checking it out. I am really looking forward to checking this one out because I feel like this one's going to be an interesting review, to put it shortly. If it's for my daughter, I defeat even the Demon Lord. I tried to read this one ready for the anime to come out, but I never got a chance to do so. I got about halfway through, and you know what? I really enjoyed what I read. However, I got slightly spoiled by something that happens later on. I was like, oh, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. Yeah, I was quite uncomfortable about how that kind of turned out with it. Don't know if it's true, but yeah, for now I'm kind of just like I'm staying away from it. I might finish it up sometime. Warrior Future from Commonplace to World's Strongest. This looks like my kind of thing. Heard bad things about the anime, but I'm looking forward to checking up the light novel. Yeah, very looking forward to do that one indeed. Destiny Lovers, it's trash. It's basically kind of like a little bit like Prison School. I covered this previously. I'm going to give it its own dedicated video at some point. Yeah, it was okay. It was better than expected. Classroom of the League. You know, I really enjoyed the first few episodes of this one when the anime came out, but I never watched any more. Always heard good things about it. One of the videos I was contemplating doing was just doing the top rated My Anime List light novels, and this one is one that's quite high, so I will get around to it eventually once I do that. There's just so much stuff I need to read. Rise of the Shield Hero, I'm not going to talk about it. I can't be bothered as Shield Hero. These three I've not read. I believe it's Another World, which is my smartphone, Orphan, and Outbreak Company. They were all free. All three of them were free at some point, so I was like, you know what? Free is a good amount to pay for light novels, for volume ones. I'll get them. And just didn't read them. This one is one that Uchuu Shelf covered not long ago, The Brave Tuber, and he really recommended it. I'm going to leave in the description of where you can see his video for it, because he can talk about it better than I can. Next up is How to Treat a Lady Knight Right. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've started reading it and I think I kind of stopped, and it's basically a female knight who's kind of like awkward about herself, but that just seems to be the guy's kink. He loves muscles, so it's just like, yeah, it's going to be trash, but yeah. All Maidens in Your Savage Season. Not read it, heard it was really good, but I think it was cheap, so I just bought it. So sometimes I buy light novels simply from the ridiculous names, and this one, The Dirty Way to Destroy the Goddess's Heroes. Damn you heroes, why won't you die? Sounds stupid. I'm gonna read it someday. Machi Maho, I messed up and made the wrong person into a magical girl. Heard this one's really good. Not had a chance to read it yet. It's on my to-read list. The Last Crusade, I did a complete video on this one. You can check that one out. It was Romeo and Juliet in the middle of a war. Not the best, but not the worst. Was kind of okay. Boogie Pop Phantom, underrated classic. Very underrated. I really enjoyed Boogie Pop and others when I read it. I want more. I want more stuff like that. I really need to get into the Monogatari. In fact, not shown on here is I actually picked up that Monogatari bundle and got the entire thing, so that's somewhere. I just haven't had a chance to download it yet. My Youth Comedy Is Wrong As I Expected. Heard good things about it. Some of these are ones where I picked them up and for the top 10 mal rated ones. Heard it's good, not read it. World End Syndrome, how are you? Are you ready to do whatever? Picked it up, not read it yet. The Empty Box and Zeroth Maria. Never heard much about it, but it's gone quite high on my anime list, so I thought I'd try it out and see how it goes. No Game No Life. I watched the anime and couldn't get into it. I'm going to try the light novel because everyone says it's good. Apart from the whole, him ripping off stuff. A Circle Magical Index. I think this was one where everyone kind of knows it, or the real gun stuff. Not read it yet. Torture Princess. People really hyped that one up as a really fantastic light novel. Not read it yet. Looking forward to doing so. Man, I've got a lot of light novels to read. Heavy on the Dumbbells That You Lift. Good question. Yeah, it was decent. I just read it. I want to cover a little bit more. I think I prefer Plus Size Elf to it, but yeah. Animeta, I've got Volume 1 and Volume 2. Fantastic series. Really underrated. I don't hear anybody talking about this one, but everyone should read it if they're interested in the creation of anime and manga. Well, anime. Really underrated title. Really worth checking out. Another one that I somehow didn't do a video on, I really feel like I should have, was The Hero is Overpowered but Overly Cautious. Hilarious series. Absolutely hilarious. Kind of like Konosuba. Really enjoyed this one. Really was surprised about how good it was. I've also got Volume 2, but I've not had a chance to read it yet. One I've got physically, but I've also picked up digitally since then, is How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. I picked up Volume 1 to 3, and this one is really interesting. It's kind of like a rebuilding, kind of like Slime Isekai, where the building, this whole world building thing. But I'm really enjoying it. I really want to try and catch up, but yeah, it's not going well. Not going well at all. And finally, on Bookwalker, I have Infinite Dendrogram. Amazing series. I've just bought Volume 2 and 3 because it was so good. Yeah, I really, really recommend checking this one out. The anime is not so great, but if you want a good light novel, a good VR MMO light novel, definitely pick that one out. Last one I want to talk about is Busy Wizard. This warlock just wants to provide for his wives. Volume 1. Hentai light novel. You know, got to save the best till last. And it was okay. I did another video on it. Wow, that has taken me, well, it's been about an hour. I'm sure I'll manage to knock some of this down, but thank you very much for everybody who's managed to stay until the end. I really appreciate it. You keep doing what you keep doing. Thank you very much, and if you did enjoy this, please leave a like, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming, and thanks again. Goodbye.